everybody who watched that game should get a free month of Amazon Prime.
On today's Top Shelf Tuesday edition of the Odd Coaches Podcast, Dr. Adams and the OCP team of correspondents recap NFL Week 5, share their thoughts on who's hot and who's not in the NFL, review Dr. Adams' strictly for entertainment purposes only picks, as well as previewing Week 6 of the NFL season. Welcome to today's show.
The Odd Coaches Podcast is sponsored by the CKA Save Project. The CKA Save Project is an industry leader in providing student-athlete academic and athletic support. From assessing student-athletes' academic and athletic skills, to measuring and monitoring student-athlete academic progress, to improving student-athlete time management and organizational skills, the CKA Save Project provides wraparound services for student-athletes from middle school through college. For more information, visit us on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org or schedule a free consultation with Dr. Keith Adams by emailing cka@ckasaveproject.org.
Greetings and salutations and welcome to the Odd Coaches Podcast. I am your host, Dr. Keith Adams, and my partner, Coach Franchise, is still on assignment. Most Sundays he's going to be on assignment for our Top Shelf Tuesday edition until school lets out. But I am so pleased to have our team and our panel of experts, and Will Cotton will be joining us later, but I first want to introduce Robert Abney because I haven't talked to Robert in a while. Robert, how are you doing today, sir?
Hey, as always, sir, I am living the dream every day.
I'm just such a fan of this guy. Chris, sure, how are you, sir?
Well, go Raiders. Go
Yes.
Raiders. See, hey, we don't play till tomorrow, so I can't lose.
At least not tonight on the show. And of course, the man of the hour, the man with the power, too sweet to be sour, Mike King, Giants aficionado. Mike, how you doing, man?
Doing well. Doing well.
Yes, you are, from across the pond. I don't know if the plane came back yet, but congratulations to the Giants. So in segment one, I've got 3 games of interest, fellas, and I'd love to get your reaction to it. One is Thursday's game, Indy versus Denver. For fans of the show, we make jokes all the time about Denver because they're one player away. And Russell Wilson was supposed to be that one player away, and my God, he is robbing them without a gun. And word on the street is that he's actually injured and may have a partially torn pec. But fellas, what is going on with Denver? Chris, you were on the show when we were one player away in it. Any thoughts on Denver?
I believe we might be 10 players away now on Denver. No. Come on, the Raiders hurt him. Yeah, the Raiders won and they hurt him, and then he just aggravated his injury against the Colts. But Denver, no. They have their one win this season.
I'm not going that far, but Robert, were you the one that said by the last week of the season there's going to be one game left? And what's going on with Denver, man? I just got to know because Russell's crazy.
So I don't know if you all saw on social media, but there was I think it was on Twitter. There was a screen. They pulled a clip from one of the Denver TV stations that basically apologized for putting that game on their air because they were so bad. And I sent a few of my team, some of my Bronco friends. I sent them a meme I saw. It was Robert Griffin III. Remember him?
Yes, I do.
He tweeted, basically everybody who watched that game should get a free month of Amazon Prime.
Oh, Mike, any thoughts on Russell Wilson, man?
I think the injury all of a sudden, when you're playing bad, I think if they were 3-1, we wouldn't be hearing about an injury. I think that's just football. Daniel Jones had an injury. I'm going to have a little Giants theme today, and he was out there, and he played great. So when you win, the injuries don't really matter. When you lose and it's, we paid all that money and all those first rounders for the quarterback, well, he's hurt. It's fine. He's hurt. I don't buy it.
That's a New Yorker right there, folks. All right, so the second game I had of interest was Washington, Tennessee, because my friend Brian Bobian is not with us today. But that was by design. It had nothing to do with the Washington game. But he said, I believe on the preview show, fellas, that Carson Wentz throws interceptions at the most inopportune times. So I'm watching the game, and I'm like, they're on the one. Nah. And sure enough, Carson Wentz throws an interception, and I text Bobian because I know he's out. He's not watching it. And I just text him sorry. And he just shrugged his shoulders. So no need for reaction. I also want to say Ron Rivera's not doing a good job right now. There was a challenge earlier in the game that cost him a timeout that probably shouldn't have been challenged. But man, when it rains, it pours. But we're going to move on to Dallas and the Rams. And I do want to ask, fellas, starting with Mr. King, when did the Rams get so bad, or did Dallas suddenly become good? Mike, they're neck and neck with your Giants. What are your thoughts, man?
I think Dallas's defense is good. When you have a really good defense, I don't care who you play, you're always going to have a chance. The NFL could try and make it as easy as they want on the offense, but if you have a real good defense, doesn't matter what rules they have, you can rush the quarterback, you can rush the quarterback. So I think that's part of it. The Rams, maybe Super Bowl hangover, too much partying for the couple months after, I don't know. But they haven't looked good for a while, and Dallas has.
Wow. All right. Robert, what do you think, man? Are the Rams like just bad all of a sudden? Or is Dallas good?
I was actually thinking about that today. I'm like, how did the Rams get so bad? I think part of it is that Dallas's defense is just really good. And I mean, they have Cooper Kupp playing quarterback, and they keep talking about Dak coming back. And I mean, and honestly, offensively, Dallas hadn't been all that good, but they haven't had to be because their defense is so good. I think, and you want, again, Mike was just talking about injuries. I think Matthew Stafford is already banged up.
We were talking about that earlier this year. Yes.
Yeah. And I just, I think it may be one of those situations where the Rams just kind of said last year, we're going all in, and whatever happens next year, we'll worry about next year.
All right, Chris, any thoughts on the Rams either being bad or the Cowboys being good?
Well, the Rams, the ring's heavy. The ring's super heavy, can't play. Okay, that's what happens to everybody when they win a Super Bowl. Can't play, the ring's too heavy. Okay, so Matthew Stafford, his arm's hurt, it's too heavy. The Dallas, nobody gives any respect to Kellen Moore. Okay, Kellen Moore was a Boise State University quarterback. And since I lived in Boise, Idaho,
I
gotta say it. I was looking for it. I gotta say it. Boise State puts out some good players. Okay. Now the dude was, I don't know, he's like 5'3" or something like that. Kellen Moore is really super short. Can't play. Okay. I mean, he's average. Okay. He's probably as good as Derek Carr or something like that. Ooh, can't say that. But he is an excellent strategic football mind. Okay. And as an offensive coordinator, this guy is running that offense like there's nobody's business. Okay. Dallas has a great offense. You're going to see that come to play next week when they're in Philadelphia, and Philadelphia goes down finally, and they do not win. They're not going to be undefeated for much longer.
And Chris, if I'm not mistaken, didn't you call the Dallas win last week? Didn't you call that?
Yep, I called this Dallas win against the Rams last week, and I'm calling Dallas again against Philadelphia next week.
All right. So before we close this segment, I got some random things that I just got to get off my chest, folks. So, one, welcome back. 5 weeks after being shot twice in the leg on the same day that we did our NFC East preview, Washington Commanders rookie running back Brian Robinson returned to action, got a lot of touches, and was pretty integral in keeping them in the ball game. So, again, welcome back to him. Quiet quitting has been all over the news. Blake Bortles, who was the number 3 draft pick in 2014, and led Jacksonville to a division title and the AFC Championship game in 2017. It's like 5 years ago. Said deuces, he's out of here. He had an up and down career, but he's still second in Jaguars history in passing yards and passing touchdowns. So he's out. And Cole Beasley had a cup of coffee with Tampa Bay, but he has decided to retire after 11 years. Why do I mention this? Because it rarely ends well. And I keep telling everybody who's in the earshot, take advantage of any opportunity you have in any industry, because you never know when it's going to end. And finally, to quote the late, great Gorilla Monsoon, give me a break. The fan who ran onto the field during the Rams loss to the 49ers last week filed a police report against the Rams linebacker Bobby Wagner. Shortly before halftime, fan ran across the field, had a device letting out pink smoke, and he got introduced to NFL tackling. I do want my social studies teacher, Mike King, to share his thoughts on that. Mike, does this guy have a case? Yes or no?
If you could sue McDonald's for hot coffee, why not?
He's on the field trespassing, and we were nervous and scared and did not know what he had. So to protect ourselves, he sacrificed his body for the greater good. Okay.
Hey, go Rams. That's the first good tackle they've had in 2 weeks.
Do. And we'll join you right after this commercial break.
Oh.
The reviews are in for Dr. Keith Adams' book, Finding the Balance, My Personal Journey to Academic and Athletic Success. College professor and student athlete academic expert Dr. Lisa Rubin said, "There is nothing out there like this book, so I do hope people will pay attention and give it a read." Former George Mason standout Fowler Campbell said, "Consider this book an opportunity to work directly with Dr. Adams, just like I did. I assure you that there will be something you can take away that will be useful to you throughout your personal journey." Ryan Waite, a recent college graduate who is a software engineer, said, "I like how the book is based on research, which makes it good for general students as well as student athletes." The book serves as both a memoir to Dr. Adams' 30-year academic and athletic career, as well as an instructional guide to assist student athletes, parents, coaches, teachers, and administrators navigate through the challenges of finding a better balance between academic and athletic success. The book includes over 15 personal stories and anecdotes from Dr. Adams, along with numerous former players and colleagues from a variety of sports and endeavors. You can order your copy at www.ckasaveproject.org. From the main page, simply click CKA Save Project Services and order the Find the Balance book. For more information, contact Dr. Keith Adams by email at cka@ckasaveproject.org.
Welcome back to the Odd Coaches podcast. In segment 2, our correspondents get to say their piece. So we're going to start off with Mr. King, because he's been beaming since about 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. So, Mike, what's the best thing you saw today?
I think there's only one possible answer for this, and that's the Giants, huge underdogs. Everybody was injured. Playing against the great Aaron Rodgers, plus it's the regular season when he's actually great. And they took him down. And I think the best part, though, Saquon gets hurt. 92-yard drive by Daniel Jones, and the receivers no one's ever heard of. Their families never heard of them. Offensive line's getting better, so I'm not going to say he's doing it all by himself, but he's throwing to nobody. And he did it. That was one drive when Saquon came back, and all of a sudden it's tied. Then it was like, this might be a thing.
All right, Chris, what's the best thing you saw today?
Oh, and it pains me to say it. Eckler for the Chargers. He kept them in the game. He had those, even though he had that like 71-yard run, he did have 173 yards total and a touchdown. He kept the Chargers in the game when Aber was just really not there.
Okay. And Robert, what's the best thing you saw today?
I got to go with Mike on this one. I kind of like the Giants win, but I have to admit it's for a different reason. Aaron Rodgers, it just doesn't bother me when he loses. I'm okay with that every single time.
All right, I can live with that. Mike, what was today's biggest surprise, sir? What was today's biggest surprise to you?
I think the NFC East as a unit, because coming into the year for the NFC, you would have said who's who are the favorites. The Rams would have been on the list. The Packers would have been on the list. The Cardinals is like a dark horse, and they all lost to the NFC East. Now, is the NFC East good? Maybe. Is the NFC bad and they're just better than bad? That's more likely, but I wouldn't have thought they'd be better than the bad of the rest of the NFC. So NFC East.
Yeah, and I've got to tell you, if you listen to our preview show, I think the Eagles had the 28th easiest schedule. Giants had 29th or something like that. And the Cowboys and the Commanders were 31 and 32.
Because they all play each other.
That. Yeah. So go with it. Robert, what about you, sir?
I got to agree. I mean, I think that so far, though, the Giants and the Eagles and the Cowboys, those are three of the best teams in not just the NFC, but at the NFL right now. Now, it's a long season. Things change. We're not going to say that. We probably won't even say that 4 weeks from now. But right now, those are three of the best teams in the NFL.
All right. Chris, what about you? What was your biggest surprise of the day?
Well, I had the NFC East on there as well. But, hey, what's going on with the Jets? All of a sudden, I turned around and they had like 40 points.
They're on fire.
What was going on there? But I was busy watching, and this is my biggest surprise. I was busy watching the Chargers and the Browns. Okay. And the Chargers had it like something on their 42nd yard line or something foolish like that. And it was 4th down and 1. And they decided to go for it with like a minute and a half left in the game. And I'm like, what in the hell are they doing? Right. They didn't run it. They tried to throw it. Of course, they handed the ball right back to the Browns, who ultimately decided they weren't going to do anything with it either, and let the Chargers win. But that was the biggest surprise that I think I ever had, was watching the Chargers go for it on 4th and 1 with like a minute and a half left.
All right. So on this piece, what was your biggest disappointment? So, Mike, what was your biggest disappointment today?
Disappointed the Jets won, just because New York sports talk, they spend a lot of time talking about the Jets, even though they should be like the little brothers. They won big, but if you were paying attention to the game, they were up 2, like 10 minutes left, and the Dolphins were kicking a field goal. They missed. The Dolphins playing their 3rd string quarterback, and he was terrible.
Yeah, some kid named Skyler.
Yeah, I had to look him up, see what college he went to, and
what college did he go to?
It doesn't matter.
Forgot immediately. I was kind of disappointed they won, but that was, again, selfishly.
All right, Robert, what was the biggest disappointment to you today?
So I'm gonna go off the radar a little bit. I don't think anybody in America watched the Patriots and the Lions.
I don't think so either.
But I mean, the Lions had been scoring like all kinds of points. And, Bill Belichick said, what do you mean you can't stop this Goff guy and shut out the Lions? I thought that was a surprise. I mean, I guess that qualifies as a surprise. But I mean, I think that the Detroit was legitimately thinking they were starting to turn a corner, and that was a game that they thought that they could win, and they laid an egg.
Well, with you saying that, Will Cotton has just joined us, captain for life. And I recall in our preview edition for the NFC North that I said, Will, Detroit's playing for this guy. And Will poo-pooed it and said, nobody wants to hear that they're playing hard. So, Will, any thoughts on the Lions? And then what was your biggest disappointment for the day?
Everyone loves the team, man. I mean, no matter who you root for, you want the Lions to because they play hard. I mean, they at least they were until today. They have a good, they have a really good they had their hard knocks. There were a lot of people who had the stories. There were a lot of fans who were like, oh yeah, well, I remember I was watching that, and I remember they were, I remember that he was, sleeping in a van and became, so there's a lot of tied into it. You know what I'm saying? People like that. So every year gets it. When it's the Bengals. Oh, the Bengals. So that's what the media needs, man. That's what Lions need. They need fans. They need to be excited or something, and people are not even watching Lions fans. And they're like, oh man, this team is, I'll watch, I'll tune in a little bit. That'd be, it's all good. The biggest thing for me is Aaron Rodgers, man. The guy continues to just, he's a casualty of his own contract. He's finally understanding, like, hey, you have a whole ton of boat of money, but you have no talent, and they tried hard over the summer, early fall, all the podcasters, radio, like, oh, well, he's good. And, this receiver here and Lazard, and he has a relationship with Randall Cobb, and they're terrible. They're all terrible. They're all terrible. And then, it's just, there you can tell there's conflict between the coach and Aaron Rodgers. They're trying to call different plays. It's not working right now. But that's how good Aaron Rodgers is. He can overcome that, 2-3 wins. The guy can just win it on his own. But when it comes to winning consistently, I don't think they'll have the dogs. I don't think they'll have the relationship to actually go further on, 10, 11 wins like that. I think middle of the road for them. And my disappointment is the Packers.
Chris, what's your biggest disappointment, sir?
Jacksonville. What the hell happened to them today?
Yeah,
they were playing Houston.
Call.
Did they forget who they were playing?
Good call. Yes, and I'm looking at Robert because their quarterback, if I'm not mistaken, I think we actually it was a running back, Robert Burkhead, or
Rex Burkhead.
Rex Burkhead. Okay. All right. Yes, and I was disappointed in the Jags, and you'll find out, segment 3 fans, why I'm taking this loss a little harder than everyone else. Mike, what should we look for next week, man? What should we keep an eye on?
I think Giants Ravens has a little bit of juice. But is it next week? Is that Eagles Cowboys?
Eagles Cowboys.
That's the one. That's the one.
All right, Chris, what should we look for next week?
Oh, I'm looking at this new concussion protocol that they say they have. Okay. And how it impacted Bridgewater today. Since they said he flew through the concussion protocol, but then the new pieces kind of held him back and they couldn't put him in. So I'm really wondering how many more players are going to be held out in the coming weeks.
All right, Robert, what about you? What are we looking for?
Well, if you look at people's records right now, including the two teams, if the Raiders win tomorrow night, 20 out of 32 teams are either 3-2 or 2-3, right? Which is kind of what the NFL wants.
Let's make it happen, Robert. Let's make it happen.
If the NFL had it their way, they would go into the final week, everybody 8-8, and just havoc on that last day. They would have to do what they do in the English Premier League. You know what they do is they put every game on the last day of the English Premier League, they start at the same time because they had match fixing stuff back in the day. So everybody starts at the same time, right? And they would have to do that. But I think what we're going to start seeing over the next few weeks is now we're going to start seeing teams kind of separate themselves out. I think there are only probably 3, 4, maybe 5 teams right now that we can genuinely say these guys are good. And there's probably, same with teams that are bad. These guys are bad. And that's what we're going to, I think that's what I'm looking forward to. I want to see people start separating themselves.
Ah, good call. Will, what should we look for next week?
As the fans who live in the DMV area,
man,
Thursday will be a big game for the Commanders. If they lose, Rivera got to go.
Now, who are they playing next week? Because that shows you how engaged. The Bears on Thursday night. Yes.
If they lose to the Bears, and that doesn't have to be spectacular. It doesn't have to be like 21 points or anything like that. If they lose, period, Rivera's gone. You've lost it. I mean, the season done. You know, I get rid of him. You know, and start moving forward. But you lose that game to the Bears and how bad it is.
He played for the Bears, man. He's on the 85 Bears.
Man, the crazy thing is, it's not will you get fired if you lose. If you get fired bad, you might get like a Herm Edwards joint where you get fired on the field and you get your key card right on the season. Right. Hey, we'll take that. We have a cab for you. There's an Uber. There's an Uber waiting for you. Go ahead, Ron. In fact, you live in Chicago, so don't worry. We'll get you right to the house. No problem. Yeah, that's you. I mean, they put, you know, the biggest thing, you put so much money on Wentz. You know, and I think that's when people are like, okay, like you have to win, you know, and they've steadily gotten worse. So they get pooped. If they get, you know, whooped bad on Thursday, Rivera is 1 foot out. It shouldn't be, fortunately, but it is what it is.
All right. So with that, fans, on the other side of the break, we're going to come back with things that are strictly for entertainment purposes only on the Odd Coaches podcast.
There is an old business adage that says, what gets measured and monitored gets done. It is also fact that deadlines spur action. That is what the CKA SAVE Project academic monitoring service can do for student athletes. Measure and monitor their academic progress to improve their grades. Our academic monitoring services provide ongoing academic support for student athletes for a designated period of time. Our academic success coaches work with student athletes on time management and organizational skills, along with improving their ability to self-advocate. Every few weeks, our academic success coaches meet with student athletes to assess their academic progress, as well as provide ongoing academic advising. If needed, student athletes have access to CKA Learning Specialists who provide virtual core subject academic support for student athletes. For more information, visit us on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org or schedule a free virtual consultation with Dr. Keith Adams by email at cka@ckasaveproject.org.
Welcome back to the Odd Coaches podcast. In segment 3, we talk about things that are strictly for entertainment purposes only. So the OCP top 5, I think I'm going to get fussed at, but that's okay. My show. So I've got the Eagles as the #1 team in the league because they're the last undefeated team, and I'm sure the 72 Dolphins have champagne on ice because next week Chris thinks Dallas is going to beat them. Number 2 is Buffalo. Number 3 is Kansas City. This is being taped before Kansas City plays Oakland / Los Angeles / Las Vegas Raiders. 4 is Minnesota and the bank robber Kirk Cousins. And 5, much to my chagrin, even though I did bet on them, following, I've got San Francisco at 5. And I am sure when you listen to this, you're going to say, that's right, Coach, that's right. On the outside looking in, Tampa Bay and Mike King, the Giants are on the outside looking in. So, Will, because we were on a text chain today, any thoughts about my top 5?
Keep them all the same. I think we all kind of, you know, said the Niners weren't going to be that good, but man, when you have an identity, you stick to that, man, and you run the ball and you dink it down and you play defense, and you know they earned it. You know what I'm saying? So I give them that. But I have no problem with the top 5. I know there are a couple Cowboys fan, Mike, who think they should be a little higher, you know, but you know they're right there too. You know. But I'm happy with the top 5. There's no changing. Yeah, my Super Bowl was the Eagles and the Bills, so everything's looking good for me.
All right, so Mike King, the Mike he was referred to was Mike Francis, who's a Cowboys fan. What do you think about the top 5, sir?
I would put Bills 1, Chiefs 2, Eagles 3.
They're undefeated.
Yeah, but who
they haven't played anybody.
Who played? So, and the AFC is just so much better. So I would put at least 2 AFC teams at the top. But then after that, I mean, I don't think the Giants are in that next tier. I like that you said that. I just until we get OBJ, until we convince OBJ to sign in a month, I don't think we're quite there yet.
Why does everyone want AB? Why does everybody want OBJ? Why does everybody want the guy? The guy tore an ACL back-to-back seasons. He's 30 years old.
Yeah.
He hasn't been healthy in the last 5 years. Why does everyone even giving a guy a cup of coffee? Why is everyone like calling him? Does he owe the money?
He's got one of these from last year when they were.
I get it. I get it. But the guy is, he's a name more than what he is now. I mean, look, don't get me wrong. Let me say,
name one Giants receiver. You can't. He's a name.
Don't go. Trust me. Don't look trash. Don't add trash. Make something better. You're gonna get more trash. But don't let me hate on him. If a team wants to sign OBJ, give him some money. Great. I hope the brother makes the cash out. I hope he does, man. He was always a good guy.
Take that jersey out of storage and start wearing that again. I don't have many current Giants. It's Barkley, and that's it.
Oh man, Chris, what did you think about my time?
Oh, the ring is too heavy. OBJ's ring's too heavy. He can't play.
He got hurt before he got it.
Here's my top five. Ring's too heavy. See, my ring's too heavy. Bam.
Go ahead, Chris.
The top five. Buffalo is number one, as they have been for a couple of weeks. I have the Cowboys number two. Okay, I know you guys are hating on them. Okay, but they have an offense and a defense. I actually put Philadelphia number three. And listen to me, I have the Giants number four, and then maybe Kansas City. But I'm really fighting with that because I think Baltimore is better than Kansas City, to be honest.
Baltimore is going to play or is about to tip off as we tape this. Robert, you are the administrator's administrator. What do you think about my top five?
I got Buffalo and Kansas City, and then we got the three NFC East teams. I got Philadelphia and Dallas and the Giants number five. I think that's, and again, like I just said, that stuff's going to start shaking out because both the Eagles and Cowboys play next week, and Buffalo and Kansas City play next week. So that's going to start taking care of itself here pretty soon.
Mike, who do the Giants play next week?
Ravens.
Okay.
But if we got the Giants in the top five, we got to rename the Lombardi Trophy the Dable Trophy because he's got. There's some stars there. But there's a lot of nothing.
Easy there, big fella.
There's a lot of nothing. That is some coaching.
All right. So my picks of the week. So last week I had a bad week. I was 1-4 last week. This week it was 3-2, 60%. And I'm plus $4.50. So after the show, wife and I are gonna have a pumpkin donut. My overall record is 9-16, and I'm down about $80. But here's what I had, folks. I had Tennessee minus 1.5, and hey, I didn't think Carson Wentz would really throw the interception, but Bobian called it, and he called it 5 weeks ago. I had the over/under on the Chargers in Cleveland over 47.5. They took care of that. My two play of the week, money line, of course, Minnesota and Tampa Bay. I had a 3-play, but the Rams decided not to play against the Cowboys today. And my money line upset of the week was Cleveland over the Chargers. And as excited as I got, they choked that. So look for my picks every Sunday morning. And here are my season-long win totals. Pittsburgh over 7.5 wins. As Mike would say, ball that ticket up. Jacksonville over 6.5. They got 2 wins. I don't think I have a shot at that one either. Buffalo over 11.5. They got 4 wins now. We're going to ride with them. Chargers over 10. They got 3. Minnesota over 9. They have 4 wins. New Orleans over 8. They've got 2 wins. I don't think that's going to work out for me. Philadelphia is over 9. They've got 5. They're almost halfway. They're over halfway there. And San Francisco, the bet of coach and player, over 10. They've got 2 wins, man. So next week, week 6, we got some buys finally. Detroit's on a bye, and they need it. They need to relax. Tennessee's on a bye. Las Vegas is on a bye, Chris. Will you be even watching any games next week?
Oh, yeah, I'm going to be watching some games.
Okay. And Houston and Randy Jones, or whoever the running back was, they're going to be on a bye.
It's like everybody that has only 1 win has a bye.
Yeah.
Do the Steelers have a bye? That's weird. The Steelers, I was talking about truly bad. The Steelers are one of the truly bad teams. And how long has it been since anybody could say that? I mean,
I think it was in the second quarter that Buffalo surpassed 20 points. So you knew the game was over by then.
Yeah. So there's 3 games on the week 6 schedule that I'm interested in. I want to see Minnesota play Miami. And the reason why I want to see Minnesota play Miami is because I want to know who the quarterback is going to be. Buffalo versus Kansas City should be a Katie Bar-to-door Pier Sixer. And Philadelphia Dallas is probably the national game of the week. So before we close, final thoughts, starting with Mr. King. Any final thoughts as we close out, sir?
Good week of football. just good. Everything's good.
Good week of football. Chris, any final thoughts, sir?
Okay, well, I'm going to add the Jets and Green Bay as
Okay.
a game to watch because they're both 3-2. Surprise, surprise. And Baltimore against the Giants. I want to add them as well as a game to watch because, like Robert's been saying, it's going to start separating people. Some of these teams are going to show up the way they always have every year, where they start out strong and then they fall apart, and other teams are going to rise to the surface. And that's what we're going to start seeing next week. Thank God the Raiders are off.
Robert, anything as we get ready to go, sir?
well, I mean, you got a bunch of good college games on Saturday, and then you've got, Dallas, Philadelphia, and Buffalo, Kansas City. And I'm not going to be watching any of that because my wife and I are going to be in Hawaii. So y'all have fun with that.
So we won't be on next week with Robert Abney.
No, you will not.
Are you going to Pearl Harbor while you're in Hawaii? I've got to ask them.
That is on the list.
Okay.
That is on the list.
All right. Already snuck in a social studies reference. Make sure
Yes,
you
sir.
Pearl Harbor if you go to Hawaii. Cotton Man.
Oh,
Any
man.
final thoughts, sir?
I'm excited about the Chiefs Bills. Really excited about that. Really excited about Eagles and Cowboys. I got a short week. I start my new job in 2 weeks. So I ain't got worried about the Friday. So it's for Thursday. And one last thing, stop putting the Broncos on prime time. No one wants anymore. We're all falling asleep. I didn't even watch it. I watched something else.
Kill, we're mad at you because you had us talking about the Broncos.
Look. We're talking about entertainment, and we didn't have any of that on Thursday. So keep them off prime time, please.
All right. As always, fellas, this is a joy to have each and every one of you come on. So on behalf of my tag team partner, Coach Mike Francis, and the OCP team of correspondents, I'm Dr. Keith Adams saying thank you for listening and or watching the Odd Coaches podcast. And we will see you on the sidelines. Till next time, take care. Robert, enjoy your trip to Hawaii, my friend.
Yeah.
Sure.
We hope you enjoyed today's show. The Odd Coaches podcast drops new episodes every Tuesday through Friday on most weeks. Make sure you subscribe to the Odd Coaches podcast on Apple Music, iHeartRadio, Podbean, Spotify, and YouTube. Follow the Odd Coaches podcast on Twitter and Instagram at Odd Coaches. Follow Dr. Adams on Twitter and Instagram at CKA Save Project. In addition, follow Coach Mike Francis on Twitter and Instagram at Coach Franchise, spelled Coach Franchize. For more information about the CKA Save Project, please visit them on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org. See you next time on the Odd Coaches Podcast.